What's up, guys? Boy, I'm FoxCast here, and so we're gonna be starting off right from the cliffhanger we kind of left on in the current episode of FoxCast Creepypasta. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into this, shall we? Let's go. Are you okay? I exclaimed, trying in some vain attempt to see if he could hear me. The body lay motionless. I heard something moving inside. I wanted to step away from the door and try to bust the glass to open the door, but my legs were stuck in place. I was paralyzed in shock. Shit, I'm stuck. My breathing became panicked, gasped, and my whole body began to tremble. I tried to form hands into fists and punch the glass in desperation, but they were trembling so much I could hardly even move without searing in pain. The dreadful memories of the past filled my head, making my morale plummet, even though I already knew. I knew exactly what was going on. I had failed to save this kid. My heart felt like it had hit an all-time abysmal low, and I thoroughly deserved it. I was so much of a coward I couldn't even open up this door. My breathing became labored, and my heart hurts with every thump. Useless. I'm utterly useless. I should have just stayed in that classroom. Trying to go out was clearly not working. No. I won't let this happen. I won't. I've fallen into a deep, deep depression before, but I can't falter now. There's someone I can save, and I won't let him die because of my cowardice. I forced myself to grit my teeth to summon any remaining strength from my twitching body and clench my fists as hard as possible. I could feel my wrists getting sore from trembling, but I did my best to ignore the pain. I clenched my thighs and quads to stabilize my legs and swung my fists quickly, shattering the glass. I felt the pricks in my fists as the glass shards jabbed me, my blood leaking from the holes at the speed of molasses, but that didn't matter. I thrust my arm through the now empty space and grabbed the doorknob, twisting and pulling with all my might. I nearly tore out the knob when I heard a thunk and shoved the door open, sprinting into the room. As soon as I entered, I found what was making all that noise. A monstrous sphere of writhing, decomposing human arms and legs sat in the corner, squishing and squashing its arms as it flailed around and pulled at the seemingly gelatinous bubbling blob that encased them, as if they were desperate to escape. Every stretch and pull the arms made was quickly sealed by a solvent-like opaque liquid that trapped them, making the arms fluctuate between calling for dear life and being sealed in an almost fleshy ball of paint. It saw no other body parts, no ears, eyes, or any sort of face, just hair, arms, legs, and limbs. Each limb looked like it was randomly dispersed throughout the body, with no care to put legs on any sort of bottom to this thing. The simplest way I could describe this monster was a ball of Play-Doh with arms and legs of dolls haphazardly stuck to wherever with no discernible pattern. The shock of seeing this abomination was utterly ghastly to look at. I hear the limbs pop out and recede back into the flesh with a gurgle and pop like a thick, pus-filled boil bursting. I was astonished, completely taken off balance. What on God's earth was this thing? I couldn't even begin to rationalize what the hell that thing is. It clearly isn't a person. How did this creature ever come to be? I was drawing a blank. I didn't even think I wanted to know where this thing came from. I felt my stomach groan a bit, churning inside. But I just exhaled and tiptoed towards the collapsed boy. The pain in my hands started to get really acute, but I finally still kept going. Finally, I got close enough to scoop up the boy in my arms and carry him, doing my best not to alert that thing that was in the room. Thankfully, I could still feel his pulse, and he still moved by me, meaning that he was still alive. I breathed a heavy sigh of relief. He wasn't that heavy, but I felt so much more stressful, and carrying it over extra 100 pounds while trying to be stealthy. Swinging towards the door, avoiding the blood pool, and stepping around the desks. I heard the sound of palms striking something moist, carefully followed by a snap. Presumably that arm's bone snapping as it got consumed. A horrifying question struck me. Where did the rest of that class go? There was only one kid here, and that monster. It took me a second to think, but the answer hit me like a speeding bullet. A corpse, peeling, erupted from the back of the room, catching my attention. The monster picked itself up off the floor and stood up, countless legs and upstretched arms supporting its massive body. It didn't have any eyes, but I could tell it was looking directly at me. And it wasn't happy. I froze in place, unsure if I should run or slowly creep towards the door. I didn't have to form an answer, because the thing lunged at me. It looked like it wanted to sprint. I bolted out of the door, carried the boy bridal style, and hearing the wet flops and smacks of the flesh against the floor sounded both snapping and contorting as the beast barreled towards me, carelessly breaking its limbs in pure ecstasy as it chased me. I glanced behind me and saw the monster was rolling after me, broken, floppy arms, legs feverishly clawing and putting its massive body towards me. As I at a startling fast speed, I was running on pure adrenaline and instinct, desperate for an escape method. I wasn't a slow runner by any means, but this thing was extraordinarily fast, despite everything about its anatomy suggesting it isn't. I was running out of this corridor, and turning around to hang a left or right would almost undoubtedly get me caught. So I charged into the men's bathroom in desperation, leaning my back against the door in case it tried to open it. I felt the thumps of the hands banging on the door and the vibrations it caused. Either it wasn't aware of the door handle, or was it capable of opening the door. Regardless, I was thankful. The monster continued its onslaught and I clutched the body. I spied a small first aid kit attached to one of the dirty bathroom mirrors on Velcro, and thanked my lucky stars. I wasn't exactly a trained professional, but I thought I might be able to patch this kid's wounds the best I could and fix the glass shards on my hands. The only problem was that the door was still being hounded by the monster, so I strapped inside. The announcement said emergency services were coming, right? If the cops come, they might have the firepower to deal with that thing. I found myself with a choice. I had to either stop pressing my back against the door and grab the kit, which risked the monster getting inside, or I could keep the door shut, risking both me and the kid bleeding out. I never heard the knob rustle, so I don't think the monster knew how to get inside. After carefully considering both my options, I sighed a shaky breath and made my choice. Cautiously, I stood up and marched towards the kit, hearing the door rumble much more dramatically now that I wasn't pressing against it. I heard the door scrape against the door frame and made a sound that made me fear the door being knocked off its hinges. I laid the boy down in my arms gently as I could to the floor and saw how much blood I soaked into my shirt. Before I attempted to patch this kid up, I was in desperate need to pee. I got to the open stall, close to me, but it was locked shut. I tried the next one. Similarly locked. Frustrated, I got desperate and crawled underneath, only to find something sitting on it. And that's where we're gonna leave off for now, because, well, again, we have limited time, so yeah, that's pretty much what I gotta do now. So, thank you guys for watching this all new episode, or part of an episode of FoxCast Creepypasta. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time!